What's up everyone, welcome to DIY Dudes. Today I'm going to show you how we transformed an ordinary entranceway closet into a modern open concept design. And this idea is actually inspired by stuff that we saw on Pinterest, and it's a really popular trend right now on social media. Here's how we did it. To get started, we got right in there and did a little demolition. We pulled out the old wood shelf and the metal hanger bar. And then we unscrewed the support bracket from the wall and pried off the wooden shelf supports. We wanted the top of the bench to be around the height of a typical chair. So we measured a few different chairs around the house and then ended up settling on a height of around 19 inches. We marked out some points on the walls, and then using a straight edge, we drew some nice straight lines with a permanent marker. We used a multi-tool to remove a strip of the existing trim inside the closet that sits below this line. This way, when we build the bottom section, it'll sit flush with the wall. With this design, the entire bottom section is essentially just one big bench. So that means it's got to be pretty strong because it has to be able to support multiple people sitting on it potentially at the same time. So that means we want to secure all of our support systems directly to the wall studs. To find all of our studs, we just used a basic electronic stud finder to lay out all the stud locations around the closet. Then we used a laser to transfer the layout points to the bottom so that we could have reference points for the construction of the base and also the shelf up top. With all that layout done, we finally got to build something. The first thing we built was a box section frame that'll support the shelf underneath the bench. A 2x4 was cut to length and screwed into the wall studs. Next, we did the same thing at the closet opening and then cut two smaller pieces to fit at either end. We wanted the face of our bench to be close to the front of the closet, so we measured out the location for the next piece, taking into consideration the finished panel that'll be installed later. Next, we cut some blocks to the length we needed and screwed everything together. And then we added a support across the middle to strengthen our shelf. Then we took a whole bunch of measurements and made a little sketch at the bottom of our shelf that'll help us lay out the cut. We transferred all the measurements for the shelf onto a sheet of MDF, and by the way, it's a pretty good idea to use a square or some kind of straight edge when you're laying out to make sure you're getting the most accurate lines possible. And then to cut it out, we just used a regular skill saw. It turns out we did a pretty good job with our measurements because the piece fit perfectly into place, and then we just nailed it to the frame with a nail gun and some brad nails. Next, we basically repeated the entire process for the upper section of the frame. We lined up all our pieces with the layout lines and then double checked everything with a level before screwing it into the wall. We put a couple of extra pieces of 2x4 on each side of the bottom shelf opening just to help box it in a bit and reduce the opening size. And these also help add a little bit of support to the bench as well. We installed supports for the bench top at two locations that split the unsupported areas into 3 equal parts. We cut out the bench top just like we did with the shelf floor underneath and then just nailed it down. Then we went ahead and put our finishing panels on the insides of the shelf opening, and these are just some pieces of MDF that we cut to fit these spots. And then we capped off the front face with one big sheet of MDF with a cutout for the shelf. Since these finishing panels don't need to carry any loads or weight, we can just use some brad nails to attach them. For the top shelf, we started by lining up some MDF pieces at the height that we wanted, and then we checked them with the level to make sure everything was good, and then we screwed them right into the wall studs. It was a little difficult trying to support the panels and screwing them down, so we just ended up using a couple brad nails to tack the MDF into place, and this made it much easier to work with. We made a template of our shelf out of 2x4s and MDF sheets and used it as a guide to notch out the trim on both sides. This way the shelf should fit right into place and sit flush with the wall without any gaps. We built the shelf out of 2x4s on their side because we didn't want it to look too thick. And unlike the bottom, we had to build the top with 2 separate panel sections to get it to fit in the small space opening at the top of the closet. For the underside panel on the shelf, we added a little construction adhesive for added support because we just didn't want to risk it falling off and landing on someone's head. Then we finished it all off with an MDF end panel. Next, we added some MDF panels around the perimeter of the bench and also at equal spaces on the walls. This adds a nice decorative look that's much nicer than just a plain wall. We filled all the gaps and nail holes and screw holes with wood filler and then sanded everything smooth, and then we used a paintable acrylic caulking for all the edges around the panels. Then we applied 2 really good coats of primer to all the new wood. We went with gray and white for the paint colors just to match the rest of the entranceway and the rest of the house, and then we installed 5 of these really nice metal coat hooks using some screws and some wall anchors. And that's really all there is to it. It's a pretty quick and simple and just easy to do project. And I really like the way that it looks. I like the way that it opens up the entranceway and also provides a little bit of a seating area. And the cool thing about this is that you can pretty much get creative with it and come up with whatever design you want. I actually might do a few more of these videos in the future just to test out some different design ideas. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up on your way out. And we'll see you soon.